Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Today, we're going to be talking about how to actually buy your first investment property with less than $10,000. And yes, it is still possible in today's market. People are doing it left and right. So I'm so excited to share this with you. And thank you so much for everyone for being here. Just excited for you to learn. So let's get into it. Number one, congrats on showing up. Okay. So many people, they would not choose to do this because they would make excuses, right? Like you got some other stuff to do, maybe you want to go out with your friends, whatever that looks like, but you chose to be here and that's huge. So seriously, congrats on showing up. It just shows that you're dedicated and this is something you really really want to do. So I'm just so excited that you're here with me and that we can just really get right into it. So, if anyone who doesn't know me, my name's Olivia Tati. I am what I call myself a recovering engineer. I was an engineer for almost 10 years, then transitioned into being a full-time real estate investor and coach. I have a seven-figure real estate investment portfolio. I'm a serial traveler, been to over 50 countries, and I'm constantly adding countries. I am also an interior designer, YouTuber, content creator, and a digital nomad. Now, I always like to put this in there. It's that it's just so important to learn from someone who is actually doing it and not someone who's just done it in the past. Because, especially in real estate, things are constantly changing. As you've seen over the last few years, interest rates have gone all over the place and they are still going all over the place. And so, someone who isn't actively investing isn't going to really know and understand what's happening in the market right now. So that's why it's always just so important to actually learn from someone who's currently doing it. Now, this masterclass is going to be for you if you're chugging along at your corporate job and feel like your soul is like slowly or quickly dying, right? Like there's that part of you that's just like, I cannot stay in this forever. Or maybe you just hate trading 8 hours a day or more for a paycheck and want a more passive way to build long term wealth so that you can kind of ditch that, in a few years. Or maybe you just want to spend more time traveling and making memories with the people that you love. Or maybe it's that you just like your job, but you just want to supplement your income, maybe go remote, maybe work part time. You don't want it to be like you're all consuming everything that you have to be at every single day. And maybe you just know that you were meant to do something more in life, but just don't know where to start. Now, this masterclass is not for you if you're looking to purchase commercial real estate. Now, I love commercial real estate. However, this masterclass is not going to be around that. And also, if you're buying like your first or second property, it's going to be really hard for you to get into commercial real estate. And getting a residential property is going to be your gateway into commercial real estate. Now, also, if you're looking to do rental arbitrage and not actually own a property, this masterclass isn't going to be for you. I'm a big proponent of actually owning the property and building long-term wealth for yourself, not just doing rental arbitrage. Then also, if you're looking to use like subject to or seller financing to finance your deals, this masterclass isn't necessarily going to be for you. And then also, if you just hate the idea of building long-term wealth through real estate, now I don't know. I would think that that's none of you here, but just in case, got to put it out there. And then also, this masterclass is not for you if you're not willing to get a little bit uncomfortable to reach your goals, because any goal worth achieving is going to put you in a position where you do have to get a little bit uncomfortable. Now, this is so important. Start before you're ready and surround yourself with other like minded people who are trying to accomplish the same goals. Because I cannot tell you how many times I have put myself in a position where I was surrounded by other people who are doing way bigger than me, way more than me, and how much that's propelled me. And even seeing a lot of my students who were like, I'm not going to buy a property for 6 or 7 months. And then suddenly 2 weeks later, they're like, actually, I'm under contract, right? So that's why I say start before you're ready, because that's going to give you the energy to then go after your goals. Now, let's go a little bit, let's take it back here. Okay. So, how this all started is as I told you, I'm a recovering engineer. I have a bachelor's in chemical engineering and a master's in engineering and technology management. Now, I studied to be an engineer for a very long time, started working in corporate as an engineer in the oil and gas industry. And y'all, I will tell you, my soul literally died, like actually died within my corporate job. I got really depressed. And it's so funny because I always knew that engineering wasn't necessarily for me, but It's what I always thought that I was supposed to do, right? And I don't know about you, but I grew up as a people pleaser, a recovering people pleaser, right? Where I just wanted to make everyone around me proud. I wanted to make my parents proud, even though I knew deep down it wasn't for me. And so, like, I included this sticky note from June 2017. It's like things I could be as well as an engineer. And I wrote that at one of my engineering internships and all the different things I could be because I knew at the end of the day, I never actually wanted to be an engineer and I was just doing it because I thought I was supposed to. And so in the middle of COVID, I'm just really depressed and COVID layoffs are starting. And I see people getting really nervous about these layoffs and a lot of people thinking, like they're not going to be able to retire. Like, what are they going to do? And I started seeing this job that was supposed to be so stable not be stable anymore. Right. And the funny thing is at the time, I was also in $25,000 worth of credit card debt. So I was, depressed. I saw this job that wasn't stable anymore. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I was like, why on earth am I still here? So that's what really, made that shift in my brain to start looking at other options. And so that's how I found real estate. And at first, I actually wanted to be a real estate agent. I was like, this is a great way to pay off my credit card debt and then maybe transition into a different career. But then I found real estate investing, and that's where things really took off. So while I was working my corporate engineering job, I really buckled down, paid off all of my credit card debt within 8 months, and then was under contract on my first property in less than a year, which was insane. So really got to work hustling, right? And I'm a big proponent of making extra money through a side hustle and not just like saving is important too. But in my opinion, it's easier to make more money than it is to save every little cent, right? And so that really led me into getting my first property and then even starting a short-term rental business with one of my best friends. And now that leads to today where I own a bunch of properties. I have financial freedom. That was the first thing, that I was seeking, but also location freedom. If you follow me on any of the socials, I am always traveling. Just got back from Mexico. I'm heading all over the place to Colorado, San Diego, Houston, all of that next month, heading to Nicaragua the month after that. But really, what it's all about is the time freedom, okay? Because the fact that I can now do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, that's what it's really all about, at least for me. And I tell everyone to call your shot. Write down the thing that you actually want in life. So I actually wrote this in March 24th, 2021. I literally wrote, this is just, I was in Mexico at the time. This is just firing me up more to get a duplex, rent out the other side, Airbnb out my side, get Kiana, who's my dog, a passport. And if you were following me on Instagram or whatever, you knew that I traveled to Portugal with my dog last year and all over the country. This has just opened up my mind to so much more. And I've met so many cool, amazing people. And that's why I say, call your shot, write down what you want. And literally, yeah, almost exactly 3 years ago. That's pretty crazy. But write down what you want. Like it's so huge. And it's so funny because I have a lot of my best friends now who are starting to do that too, and how excited it gets them because you need that excitement and that drive to really help you get to where you need to go. So can you drop in the chat, like, why do you want to be a real estate investor? Like, throw it in the chat right now. I'm so curious. Time freedom. Yeah, that's huge. Anyone else? Why do you want to be a real estate investor? Financial freedom. Yep. Anyone else? Yeah, freedom for everyone. It seems like freedom, power over my own life, totally more energy. Oh my gosh, I 100% feel you on that, on the energy. When I was working my corporate job, I literally could not get up for work. I had to start taking anti-anxiety medication just to survive. And it's crazy how, like, literally 3 months after I quit my corporate job, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't need this anymore. I feel great. Right. Extra income to pay kids college. I love that. Outlet for creativity, freedom. So yeah, it looks like generally it's that time freedom, that financial freedom, and just like the general love of life, right? Now, what's holding you back right now from investing? Like, what's holding you back from getting that first or that second deal? Money, yep, which is perfect because that's why we're here today. Knowledge barrier, absolutely. Not knowing, yep. Don't know how. Credit card debt, yep, I feel that. I was very much there. Worried, yep. Okay, awesome. So this is what I typically hear from investors, right? You're kind of paralyzed because you don't know the first steps you need to take, right? You don't know where to start. Maybe you don't have 100K saved in the bank for a property, right? Or maybe you're just terrified of making a huge mistake and you just have no idea what a good deal even looks like, right? Like you see properties and you're like, I don't know if this is a good deal or if this is going to work, right? So usually, if I could summarize what this like looks like, is there's today. This is you. Kind of like sitting there, like, I just don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. You're kind of missing these key things, which is knowledge, that money portion of it, like where the heck am I getting the money? And the mindset, right? And that is what's stopping you from getting to that financial stability, that optionality, that time freedom, the travel, the generational wealth. That all feels like this distant, some way or, yeah, someday type of thing where you still just don't quite know how to actually get there. So make sure that you actually stay until the end because I will be doing an exclusive gift. I will be giving you an exclusive gift. And then there's also going to be a live Q&A. So you'll be able to like turn yourself off mute or you can put questions in the chat and I will just rapid fire answer as many questions as I possibly can. Okay, so let's start with the knowledge piece. You know, the number one thing that's holding a lot of you back, and, you know, even from what I saw in the chat, that seems like what is stopping a lot of you, right? And so the first thing that I see is that there are just so many options, right? It's like, which one should I do? Where do I start? Is it short term rentals? Is it house flipping? Do I do new construction? Do I do out of state investing? Which one do I do? And that can get really overwhelming. I literally just did a podcast episode with a good friend of mine, and you know, social media is great, but the problem with it is that you keep kind of getting shoved so many different things of what you should do, right? Versus many, many years ago, real estate investing seemed a lot more simple because usually you met one person who did one strategy and you just followed the one. Now, here's the thing. All of these strategies work. Every single strategy. I know literally people who are experts in every single strategy that there is, and they have been successful. At the end of the day, you just need to pick one and go for it. Now, people will tell you you can buy properties with other people's money and no money down. And so the no money down is actually quite possible with different loan options. But I do want to caution you about using other people's money, especially if you've never purchased a property before. You have no idea what a real estate transaction looks like. You've never actually had to pay a mortgage. I always say be wary. The money has to come from somewhere. So even if you're using other people's money, the money has to come from somewhere. If shit hits the fan, right? Do you feel comfortable paying them back? And that's why I always say for your first deal, maybe even your second, using other people's money is not necessarily the best way to go, in my opinion, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong. You just need to get your first deal because that's also going to give you credibility later down the line if you want to raise money, if you want to go, you know, use other people's money or whatever that looks like, or even if you want to go into commercial real estate. Getting that first deal, that second deal, that's going to give you the credibility. And that's also going to give you the confidence to go out there, raise money, and do the things that you need to do. Okay, so what is your biggest expense right now, this second? Like, what is monthly? What's your biggest expense? Drop it in the chat. Rent. Yep. Mortgage. Yep. Mortgage. Yep. So it was so funny. Went too far. So I found this on Instagram. It was like, if you can permanently change the price of one item to $1, what is it? And everyone, right? It's rent, it's the mortgage, it's houses, land, rent, home. So our living expenses tend to be the highest cost in our life, which is so frustrating because you're like, well, I need to live somewhere, right? So the goal with real estate is to actually minimize that cost as much as possible. That way you have more money in your pocket. Okay. So want to know the best strategy for getting into your first property for less than 10K is house hacking. Now, house hacking is when you actually buy a property, live in part of it, and then rent other parts of it out for additional income. That way it actually pays for your mortgage, it pays for your living expenses. Like ever since I've gone into real estate, I've never had to come out of pocket to pay any of my mortgages ever, which is huge because that frees up so much of your money to go use it on different things, to save more, to go travel, to go purchase more properties. Now, the 4 best strategies to house hack are going to be first, number one, roommates. That's going to be your classic, type of house hacking. That's buying a house. It could be a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom. I always say the bigger, the better, the more rooms, the better, because then you can have more income coming in and then renting them out to roommates. A strategy that I love and that I'm really focusing in on right now is lofts and basements. So if you have a loft or if you have a basement, being able to block it off so that you can have a renter in one of those sections. An accessory dwelling unit, right? And it can be either attached or detached. Basically, that's just a little unit that's either going to be attached to your house or a completely separate unit that's on your property that you can rent out. And then the classic one, which is multifamily. So like right now, I'm actually sitting in my duplex here in New Orleans, which I love, and it's fantastic. And it's just a great way to buy your first property. And then if you have a business, you can also use it as office space, use it as tax deductions. There's so many great ways to do this. Now, the benefits of house hacking is that it actually helps you reduce your housing costs. So it's like almost passive. It's also almost passive income because if you don't already know, most things that are passive income aren't actually fully passive, but it's way more passive than working your W-2 job. Now, you also have a low entry point, and then you also get appreciation. So you're getting all the benefits of owning real estate and being an actual real estate investor, especially with the equity pay down. Now, that's where it becomes very different than just owning a regular house, right? You have someone else paying down the equity on your property. And then you also get tax benefits. It's just a low barrier of entry to actually becoming a landlord and also just becoming an entrepreneur. And then you also have more lenient regulations like around Airbnb or the ways you can actually rent out your house. So the next thing, what's holding you back? So money is the next big one, right? Like, and that's why we're really here is that money portion. So how much do you actually need to put down to buy an investment property? How much do you think? Like, is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it 5%? How much do you think? 5%? Depends on whether it's priming 3.5, 10 to 20, 20. Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing is you can actually put as little as 0 to 5% down to buy your first investment property if it's your primary and get your closing costs fully covered. Now, there are also ways to buy just strict investment properties with none of your own money too. It's just making sure you actually find the right loan type. So we're going to go over just a few loans that you can use to buy your property for less than 5%. So the number one and the most common one that you're going to find is a conventional loan where you can put 3 to 5% down on a property. So literally, like let's say you're buying a $400,000 house, you can put 3% down and that's it. And if you're buying a multifamily property, you can put 5% down. Now, the good thing about conventional loans is that you're getting usually like better interest rates with these conventional loans. And then the PMI. So a lot of the time people will tell you don't put less than 20% down because you've got PMI. PMI is just an additional payment. It's usually no more than $200 that you're paying a month. And honestly, that doesn't matter if you're getting rent that covers that payment, right? So if your rent is that you're getting covers that payment, it doesn't really matter that you have PMI, and it also falls off at 20% equity. Now, you do need at least a 620 credit score, and there are stricter income requirements for that. But then, if anyone here is a veteran, you have access to the VA loan where you can put 0% down on your property. And there's like no down payment, there's no PMI, you get lower interest rates. But you do have to, there is a small VA funding fee, which I believe is about $7,000, something around there. But it's such a great loan that people, especially in expensive markets like in California, I know people that have come to the table with less than $10,000 to buy a property. Now, the FHA loan is one of the best loans out there. You can put 3.5% down. And now there's two different kinds. You're going to have the FHA loan and the FHA 203K loan. The 203K loan actually allows you to roll in the cost of any renovations you want to do, any build outs you want to do into the loan. So let's say you're buying a $400,000 house, you want to do $25,000 worth of renovations. Instead of having to come out of pocket that $25,000, you can actually roll that into the loan. So you don't actually have to pay that upfront. Instead, you're getting a loan for that 425,000. And then this is one that I really love, the NACA loan. Now, NACA is literally 0% down, 0% in closing costs. Like you literally get a free house. A lot of the time, people even come to the closing table and they get money back whenever they're purchasing a home. So it's low down payment. It doesn't take into account your student loan debt. It doesn't take into account like debt to income calculations. And you get lower interest rates too than you would see in the market. Now, the other one that's really good too, so if anyone is a doctor or a lawyer, sometimes even for engineers, you can get a 0% down payment loan with a young professional loan. And those are great. I literally just had someone who is using that. She is purchasing a $500,000 house. They're putting 0% down. So there's no upfront costs, no down payments, no credit score requirement. So those are some really great ways that you can actually purchase a property with really low money down. Now, here's some other secret hacks that you can use. 401k loans. So if you didn't know, you can actually take a loan out of your 401k, and we're going to go into that to purchase your property. You don't have to come out of pocket for that money. Working with builders a lot of the time and CRA zones. We're going to go over those first three because we don't have enough time to go over everything. We unfortunately won't be going over down payment assistance, IRA, and other retirement fund options, loans, and gifts from family members, but we are going to cover these first three here. Trust me, I wish we had more time. But okay, so 401k loans, and this is something that I use when I purchased my first property. If you didn't know, a lot of the times, if you have a 401k, you can actually take a loan out completely penalty free. Like you're not paying taxes on it, you're not paying any penalties on it for up to 50% of your 401k amount or up to $50,000, whichever you hit first, basically. And this is a 30-year fixed loan. Like literally, I remember when I purchased my property, it was at a 3% interest rate. And the crazy thing is that you actually pay the interest back to your 401k. So you're literally taking a loan from yourself, which is just such a giant hack because a lot of the time, I don't know about you guys, but when my money was sitting in my 401k, it was doing fine. Like it wasn't doing great by any means, and versus being able to put it into real estate and really get it to work for me. So here's an example. This is literally real numbers on my first duplex. So I purchased my property at $399,000. I did an FHA loan because at the time I did not know the NACA loan existed. Otherwise, I would have gone NACA. um, Down payment was $13,965, and the closing cost was about $10,000. So I was supposed to come to the table all in with $23,965. However, seller credits, so basically the builder gave me back $2,000 in seller credits. I also had a realtor commission. However, I didn't really need that because I could have just gotten a 401k loan for the whole amount, but then use that 401k to actually pay the rest of the closing costs. Meaning, came to the closing table, literally didn't have to do anything with none of my money from my bank account that I'd actually saved up. And so for that property, my mortgage on it is 24, and this was like real numbers from year one. So my mortgage on it was $2,400. The utilities and expenses for both units was about $500. So total expenses, $2,900. The income just by short-term renting out one side for that year was $4,150 a month. So I was actually cash flowing positive $1,250 a month on that property, made an extra $15,000 that year, right? Just by living in my home. And the kicker, right, is the money that was saved on rent, because people don't take that into consideration. Because now I wasn't paying $1,800 a month on rent, right? I was able to save all of that money, $21,000, and that's an extra $36,000 in my pocket that I was able to keep. So who wouldn't love an extra $36,000, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a genius. Let's go, right? But the crazy thing is there's so many people actually doing this, right? Now, working with builders, this is one of my freaking favorite methods to use. So working directly with builders, you get less competition, right? Because a lot of the time they have properties that they're working on that they haven't actually listed on the market yet. And they are more than happy to get those properties under contract because then they don't have to worry about listing it with an agent. They maybe don't have to pay the agent's commissions, all of that stuff. And they're a lot of the time they're willing to offer credit too. So kind of like how I got $2,000 worth of seller credit. I've been seeing lately like $10,000 worth of seller credit or builder credit, all of that stuff. And then another great thing is you actually get to customize it the way that you want. So how the heck do you even find these builders, right? So I literally listed out the exact steps here. You can, first off, you can find new constructions in the area. So if you see a property and it's a new construction, find that property in Zillow, and you'll see something like this in Zillow. You can scroll down and see the listed by. So you're going to reach out to that realtor, the phone number, like for example, this is this realtor's phone number right here, and you're going to send them this exact message. So literally you can go ahead and take a picture of it, take a snapshot so you know what to say to them, and just say, "Hi, realtor's first name. I was looking at whatever property it was and was wondering, does your client happen to have any other new constructions or renovations that are building?" Because I like to do this with renovation properties as well, because if there's a rehabber, right, who has a renovation property, they most likely might have other ones that are coming. And if I can snag that, especially, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but the markets are getting hot. Literally, they're getting hotter and hotter right now. They're not as slow as it was last year. So if you can get something off market, you're going to be in such a good position. And then you also get to customize your properties. Literally, this was me. Like, I got a new construction, right? I literally put that I wanted cheerful. If you didn't know me, I love yellow. I mean, actually, I'm wearing that almost same outfit right now. But you can literally customize it in whatever way you want. So I literally put in that I want yellow doors, and that is what I'm going to have in my house. So that's the beauty about going the new construction route. Now, it's not me that uses this. Is literally one of my students, Corey. She was really thinking it was going to take her a long time to get a property. And this was a message that she posted in our community. And the exciting thing is right now, she literally, like this last weekend, went and looked at properties and is putting offers in that aren't ready yet that she can get under contract on. And a lot of the time, you only need to put like $1,000 deposit to actually get it under contract. And then you have this property under contract for the next few months that you can always back out of, but you have that property ready to go and it's technically and will be yours if you want it within the next like couple of months when it's finished. And so Corey like literally came to me. She's like, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to buy a property for, until the end of this year." And now she's already actually looking at properties and getting things under contract just because she wasn't aware of all these possibilities. Now, this is a property that's literally on the market right now in Houston, Texas. So this is a duplex. You've got 3 beds and 2 baths on either side. So really it's a 6-bedroom, 2 bath, or 6-bedroom, 4 bath, $440,000 duplex. So let's go back here actually. So for this, for example, let's say you are willing to do the rent by the room strat. And there's different ways you can do this, right? You can either just rent out one of the units completely separately, or you could live in one room and rent out all the 5 other bedrooms. So that's the way we're going to analyze it for this one. We're just going to see. And if you know me, you know I like to analyze my properties in various different ways, not just look at it one way, but look at it in multiple different ways, just in case you have to pivot. So if you look at the rent by the room strategy in that area, you've got about $1,000 for a room. And these are like literally these rooms are kind of crap, right? Like they really didn't put much effort in. But the average we're looking at is about $900 that you can charge for a room. So let's look at this property. It's a 6-bedroom, 4 bath. Let's say you go the NACA route, right? So that's $440,000. Your down payment, since you're going NACA, is $0, and your closing costs would be $10,000. But once again, since you're going NACA, they cover it. So that's $0. And that's not even taking into account any credits that could happen. So your mortgage right now, and the funny thing, so I have 6.9% interest rate. I literally checked the NACA website right before because I was like, is it 6.9 for NACA right now? And it's actually 5.8 right now. So it would be even lower than this. But your mortgage is $3,560 a month if you were to purchase it at $0 or with a $0 down payment. And your utilities and expenses, let's assume for both sides, about $400 a month. So your total expenses all in about $3,960, right? Now, if you were to rent out all 5 of the bedrooms, that would be $4,500 a month, right? If you lived in one of the bedrooms and rented out each one of those, it would be $4,500 a month. Remember too, with a lot of these loans, you only have to live in them for a year, and then you could even rent out that extra room. Or if you're a traveler like me, I'm always renting out my own personal space when I'm traveling because I'm like, that's extra income, right? So you could cash flow $540 a month on this one property just doing the rent by the room strategy. And that's not even taking into account if you did short-term rentals, right? Or if you did medium-term rentals for traveling nurses or anything like that. So think about it. It's not even just the cash flow. Think about how now you're living for free and all of that money that's saved. Now, this still works in high price markets. Like I have folks literally, Leah, one of my students, she's purchasing in Seattle. We've got Anita who's purchasing in Seattle. Now, something that I like to look, especially in high cost markets, are CRA zones. Now, CRA zones, I forget what it stands for. I think it's like Community Reinvestment Association or Act, something like that. I can't remember. I'm bad at acronyms. But a lot of the time with CRA, you can actually, they offer you 0 to 3% loans. And then in some locations, they'll even offer you up to 1.5% of the loan amount in credit. And we'll go over that a little bit more. Usually what you're looking at are in low to moderate income coming areas, aka up and coming areas. And personally, I like to invest in those up and coming areas that kind of seem like they're about to pop up. And there's a lot of investment that's happening in that area. So literally this is one that so I'm moving to Colorado here soon. And this is a property that I was literally looking at, but was too slow to move on it. And I'm like, damn it. But this is a property that's in Denver, Colorado, right? It's listed for $545,000. Now, the cool thing about this one is it actually has 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom on the top, and then 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom in the basement. And it's set up so that you can actually have separate entrances to them. Now, you do have to add a little kitchenette to the bottom, but you can do that super, super inexpensive, which is a great way to do it. Yeah, Denver is fantastic for walkout basements. Now, here's the thing though. So it's not even just the basement, right? These were some things that gave me that ding 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 ding, right? Sign is like here, for example, it says the property includes a massive oversized garage with a loft space. So you know what my brain instantly went to? Oh my gosh, I can turn that into another unit. Presenting an opportunity, and it even says here, presenting an opportunity to convert it into an accessory dwelling unit. And then another thing that I noticed, oh my gosh, it has RV parking. So I could even separate something out and maybe do an RV parking situation that's separate from the house that I could also rent out. So you're always looking for these key things. And whenever I'm looking through properties, I'm scanning for these things that are going to make it super, a perfect house hack essentially. So, but here's the thing that really gave me the oh, okay, this is a freaking good one, right? Because it says this property is part of the Community Reinvestment Act zone, which means that some lenders will give a buyer up to 1.5% of the loan. Now, the goal is to actually find the lenders, and luckily I have the lenders and I know their contact information. But this is why I like to invest in these up and coming Community Reinvestment Act zones, because also a lot of the time you just have to live in it for a year. And especially if you're a traveler, if you work and travel and stuff like that, you're probably not even going to be there. But for example, in Denver, this area is totally fine. They're just building more new constructions in the area, meaning that it's just going to keep going up. So here's the example that I put here. So purchase price, $545,000, right? Let's say we went with a 3% down conventional loan, right? Because it's technically a single family. That's $16,000 down payment and about $10,000 in closing costs. But you get the CRA zone credit, right? That's $79.30. And then the garage unit isn't fully built out. So you can probably, and I was literally, especially with Denver, things are kind of heating up, but not quite. You can probably get a $10,000 closing credit from them. And that would get you to $8,420 out of pocket in Denver, Colorado. Okay. And so many people think that in these expensive markets, you can't do it, but it is totally possible. You just kind of have to look for the diamond. So here's an example here. So the mortgage for this would be $4,366 a month at a 6.9 interest rate. The utilities, let's assume about $600 a month. Total expenses being about $49.36. So let's say $5,000. because of where this is located, it's in Adams County, you can actually Airbnb all of the units on the property. So like for me, for example, what I would do is just build out the garage unit because I'm totally fine with living in a studio, and then convert the actual garage into a podcasting studio because I love podcasting and it's a great way to make additional income, and put it on Peerspace. But then you can separate out the two units. You can get income from the upper unit at about $3,000 a month, income from the lower unit at about $3,000 a month, and then income from the podcasting studio. And this I like really lowballed it just because, you just with a lot of event spaces, it's just going to be really dependent on the market. And I don't know the market as well for podcasting studios. However, from my research, at a minimum, $500 should be super possible just because places are going for $50 to $100 an hour. And when you think about it, right, people are usually renting these podcasting spaces for 2, 3, 4 hours. So even if you got one booking or two bookings a month, you would probably be able to make at least $500 a month on that. So giving us a total of $6,500 a month. So total expenses, 5,000, total income, 6,500. That's cash flow in Denver, Colorado for $1,500, okay? And that's in Denver. That's in an expensive market that everyone's like, "Oh, I can't buy a house in Denver," where it's still so freaking possible. Now, if you do want a calculator, I actually have a calculator. Some of you may already have the calculator. Just DM me the word calc on Instagram, and then I'll actually send you my free calculator. You can download it for yourself. You can use it, play around with it, mess around, do whatever you want with it. And if you are looking to get pre-approved, I actually have a lender. Feel free to screenshot this, take his contact info, tell him that I sent you. He does FHA, FHA 203K, and then I actually like within like my Wanderlust wealth community, we have a bunch of different lenders, realtors, all of that, who specialize in different things like CRA zones, all of that. Now, higher interest rates, right? So who here is a little nervous about these high interest rates? Because, a couple of years ago, we were at 2%, 3%. Now we're at the sixes and maybe a little bit in the sevens. I literally have two properties in the 7% interest rates right now. So I get it. I totally get it. But you do have to understand that comes with more opportunity because there are less buyers on the market right now. So here's the thing too, is these 6%, 7% interest rates are actually not that crazy, right? We saw a giant dip during COVID. That was the anomaly. Interest rates have never been that low before. So the fact that we're up here is really honestly kind of standard from what we've seen over the past years. But we had normalized these 2 to 3% interest rates, which actually has never been the norm. But at these high interest rates, this is where you can negotiate with builders. This is when you can negotiate $30,000. Literally, we purchased a property last year that was listed at 365 and we got it for 325K, right? And that is not possible when your interest rates are super low. Now, the last thing that's holding a lot of people back is the mindset portion. The problem is that going at it alone, you don't know where to start. Like, and I saw that from a lot of y'all. It's like you don't really know where to start. There's no clear action plan. There's no personalized support. So I know so many people who've wanted to get started investing in real estate, and it's 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, and they still haven't gotten started. Okay. And it's just like, guys, you just need to get started. You need to get your foot in the door. You need to get that first property. So wouldn't it be better if someone could actually hold your hand along the way, like a clear roadmap on how to actually get your first or second property, network with other experienced investors to weigh in on any questions or decisions that you have, and just have that supportive community to actually help you overcome those limiting beliefs and fears that might be holding you back. Now, these are literally some of my students. They're my pride and joy from the Wanderlust Wealth Academy. We've got April, who literally finally got her STR permit. Devlin was a funny one because she literally joined the program and was like, "I'm not going to buy a property until the summer." And then suddenly it was February and she's like, "Just kidding. I'm now going for a property and getting under contract." And that's why I say, y'all, it is so important to surround yourself with people that are doing it. Like literally Malia here was like, "I officially started WA on 220 and I'm under contract." And that was like 2 weeks after she joined. And that's why I say it's just so important to get around other people who are actually doing this. Now, I'm inviting you right now to book a free strategy call with me. So this is the final prize, right? And this free strategy call is going to be with you if you're a woman who is interested in house hacking, know that it's in your future, but just kind of need a clear idea of what to do when you're ready to buy. Or if you're just ready to buy that first property and need accountability and need guidance on the first step, that is what this free call. So you can actually like take a picture and I can drop it in the chat as well, the link for it. But this free call is going to be for you. Now, just wait, there's more because for the first 10 people, and this is for 48 hours only, you will get 40% if you end up joining. Like, obviously, if you end up joining the Wanderlust Wealth Academy VIP coaching program, you'll get 40% off of it, which doesn't happen all the time. And then you'll also get the free video course on the back end, as well as another video course as well, PDF that is the secret sauce and actually how to pay off your debt and save up for a down payment for that first investment property. So if you sign up, the bonuses do end on March 28th. So let me drop the link here in the chat too for anyone. But okay, there is the link. So remember, if you sign up within the first 48 hours, you will get that 40% discount. But remember, it's just a free call. It's to figure out, like, see where I can help. I'd love to chat with you. And yeah, then we'll open it up for Q&A. Feel free to like get yourself off of mute. Happy to answer any questions that you have. Or feel free to drop it in the chat, either one. Anyone have any questions? Can you do FHA loan if you don't want to move into the property? So great question, Christina. Technically, you do have to. So here, this is what they say is you have to buy it with the intention of actually moving into the property. So you have to buy it with the intention. However, if something happens and you're unable to do that, no one's going to come and like find you, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So a lot of people will go ahead and use their FHA loan and use it as if they're going to actually move into it. But then they don't actually end up moving into it. So it just kind of depends on you at that point. I am not going to necessarily endorse that, but at the end of the day, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. And then something additional that I could benefit. Sorry, I'm reading the questions here. Are any loans state specific? Yes. So most loans are not going to be. Some like the CRA zone loans, those ones are going to be state specific. So for example, in Texas, like there's a lender who they do 0 to 3% down CRA zone loans only for Texas and Florida. And then like the 1.5% credit, that's going to be specifically to lenders in that Colorado area. But a lot of them, so like your VA loan, your FHA loan, those are all over the state. They're completely the same thing anywhere that you go. Join like, yes, you will be getting the recording. Do not worry. That will be getting sent to your inbox right after this once I like get the video and actually upload it. So do not worry. That is coming. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, and it looks like a few of you booked a call. Amazing. I cannot wait to chat with you. Absolutely. You're welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you. This is awesome. Okay. Thanks, everyone. And don't forget, you'll get the recording here later. Okay. Bye. Oh, wait. Did everyone get the screenshot? I know a few of you are booking right now, so I don't want to necessarily close it before you guys have gotten it booked. I'm seeing those come in, so I'll just leave that on for a little. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Well, I will close this out now. And don't worry, you'll get a link for everything in the email later today. You'll get the recording, all of that. Okay. Bye, everyone.